Hello my spoopies, it is Kaylee and I wanted to do a quick video. I know the holidays are coming up and unfortunately that is not always a good thing for everyone. A lot of times we end up having to spend time with our families, and for a lot of people that is great, that is good news. But for some of us, that is not so great. We end up having to spend time with toxic family members, maybe even family members that, you know, traumatized us in some way in our childhood, maybe even abused us, and it's just not a fun time. So I thought I would make a quick video just giving some tips and advice on how I have dealt with having to see toxic family for holidays and things. And just as a disclaimer, I want to put out there that I am not a therapist or anything like that. I don't claim to be. I don't think I am. I don't think I am a qualified health professional, like mental, psychologically, or otherwise. I'm just talking about things that have personally worked for me as someone from a toxic family and an abusive family, and what has worked for me. And if it helps someone out there, then that's great. And if it doesn't apply to you or your situation, that is great too. Just, you know, take it with a grain of salt. So first of all, if you are in a situation where you have to be around like physically abusive family members, then the first thing you need to do is get help. And I will have links down below where you can call or even text someone to get some help or some advice on dealing with your family situation. No one should, you know, physically harm you. That is not an okay situation. Unfortunately, a lot of the times family can also like emotionally and verbally abuse us, and there's not a whole lot that can be done about that, especially if you are dependent on your parents, if you're still living with them, especially if you're a minor. But I'm not talking about extreme cases of abuse or anything. I'm mainly talking about like really toxic family members who just make you feel really crappy whenever you interact with them. I guarantee you pretty much everyone out there has a family member like this. Whether it's an aunt, an uncle, it may be your parents, but usually it's like someone in your extended family you don't have to see a whole lot, you know, grandparents, cousins, things like that. And the first thing I want you to think about is if you are in a situation where you have some kind of independence, like maybe you're not living with your parents anymore, maybe you are at school, maybe you're living on your own, but I want you to think about, do I have to attend these family functions where these toxic family members are gonna be? Really think about it and think about what will happen. Your gut instinct might be that the world is going to come to an end. Everyone is going to be really mad at you, including someone you care about who's trying to appease this toxic family member, like maybe your mom or your dad or something like that. Like they would get really upset if they don't understand like why you don't want to hang out, you know, with grandma or your uncle or whatever. And that's okay. But really think it out. Think it out in your head, like what would happen? Is it worth my peace of mind to put up with this toxic family member just to, you know, make sure my mom, dad, whoever is like okay and has an okay Thanksgiving or whatever? I would be personally better off, have so much of a better, you know, time if I just sat this one out. And just really think about it and think about if that is a possibility. And, you know, you're an adult now. You're independent. You're doing things on your own. If you want to, you know, not participate in holidays with these toxic family members, that is your prerogative. It might piss some people off, but ultimately, you gotta do you. You gotta take care of yourself and do what is, you know, gonna, at the end of the day, gonna give you peace of mind and happiness. And you can't live your life for others, even your family members. You don't owe family anything just because they are family. You don't have to go to events you don't want to go to. You don't have to pretend to like someone that you don't like. You don't want to be rude or cruel to anyone, but you don't have to go out of your way to accommodate and try to appease toxic people. And oftentimes that just facilitates and encourages their toxic negative behavior because they think like, I can get whatever I want if I just, you know, am really crappy to people all the time. So that's one thing you can do, is to just not, buy into it if you do have to come into contact with these people. Obviously avoid them altogether if you can, if you're able to do that, if that works for you. And one of the most important things I want you to keep in mind is that if you cannot avoid this situation, if you have to attend family functions because you are living with your parents, they're forcing you to, you're financially dependent on your parents because you're in school because of them or whatever, for whatever reason, if you cannot avoid these toxic family members or situations they're going to be at, and you have to attend for whatever reason, and it's not your choice to attend, just keep in mind that this isn't forever. This isn't your life forever. I know it really sucks to hear that, and it's not much comfort at the time when you're going through it, but you will make it through. And once you are independent and you are of age and you are able to make decisions for yourself and make your own friends and make your own family, you can make your own family out of friends and people that genuinely care for you and that are kind to you and welcome you. So you can choose to celebrate the holidays in your own way eventually. And just keep that in mind, because it will make it a little bit easier to get through these situations that, you're not choosing to be in. This probably goes without saying, but of course, if you are forced into a situation where you have to attend these functions with your toxic family member or members, you want to just, especially if they're an abusive type of person, like verbally or emotionally, you just want to avoid that person as much as possible. Maybe you have some cool cousins that you get along with, that you can kind of just try and hang out with them the whole time. Maybe, you have an aunt you want to catch up with that you really like, something like that. Usually there's someone in that situation that can kind of be your savior, like your saving grace, that you can just kind of attach to them and, kind of avoid the people that you don't like. And in the event that that's not the case, that literally everyone in your family, is against you and you don't have any safe harbor, bring a book, bring a video game, something to amuse yourself and kind of keep yourself in your own little world where you're away from any of the criticism and just, toxicity that they're throwing at you. If they give you a hard time, I think a book is one of the best options, because if people give you a hard time, you can say that you have to read it for school, and you're on a deadline, you're running out of time, you're doing a book report or, some kind of thesis or something on this book. You have to finish reading it, and if they want to try and discuss with you what the book's about or whatever, you can just give them the briefest of rundowns and then leave it at that. That was always one of my little strategies. It's easy to get really upset and depressed and feel bad about yourself because family is supposed to care about you and prioritize you and keep you safe and make you feel loved, right? And instead they're doing the exact opposite. They're making you feel attacked and antagonized and victimized, and that's not good. But keep in mind, we're all human, we're all imperfect, and unfortunately, especially when you're young, you kind of feel like adults know everything. Adults should have their shit together and da-da-da-da, and I can tell you honestly that is not the case. I know adults who are far, far less self-aware than very young people. It's just how it goes sometimes. It's personalities. I know it's really hard to do, but try not to take what they say or do to you personally, because most of the time it is not personal. It is because they have their own issues, they hate themselves, or they're unhappy with some aspect of their life, whatever it may be, and they decide to take it out on others, and they usually just look for the weakest link or the person that is going to be most affected by their bullying. And so that's another strategy that I have found that works, is if you just do not have much of a reaction, as hard as it is sometimes, and just kind of let it roll off your back, or just ignore them. Don't indulge them. Don't laugh at their jokes if they're not funny, especially if they're at your expense. Do not engage, basically. Eventually they will get tired of trying to prod at you and nothing happening, and they will just move on to the next victim, willing or not. And as for like your mental health with dealing with these people, I know it can be really hard. Like sometimes you blame yourself and you feel like, I don't know, it just causes you a lot of stress and sadness because you have these relatives that are like so toxic and horrible for you. And something I kind of thought of recently that has really helped me with getting over dealing with toxic people in my life and the guilt I feel about wanting to leave them behind or not engage with them is think of your mental space as like real estate. So it is like real estate. You only have so much real estate in your head, right? For your feelings, your thoughts, whatever. And so people have to pay, like, you know, at a premium to be there in your mental real estate. And if you're giving up your mental real estate to people who do not deserve it, people who make you feel bad, people who put you down, people who cause you like stress and psychological problems and stuff, like, no, that's not cool. It's like you have to pay. You have to pay for my mental real estate. You have to pay in kindness. You have to pay in good interactions. You have to pay in, like, you know, being a good person and giving me nice things to think about, giving me something to think about, you know? So you can kind of think of it that way, like, you know, why am I giving up my mental real estate to this person when they obviously don't think much of me at all? And if they do, it's all negative. Or that's all they talk about is the negative. So just evaluate that for yourself. Say, I'm not going to give up my mental real estate to these people. If they want my mental real estate, fine, I can give them a chance, or I can't, but they're going to have to pay in, like, you know, nice person tokens, basically. Otherwise, your ass is getting evicted, you know what I'm saying? And this kind of goes along with the other parts I was saying, but again, for a long time, I finally realized I had to cut toxic people out of my life, toxic family members, or at least spend an extended period away from them. And it made me feel like a bad person that I didn't want to associate with these family members or have them in my life, even though they caused me so much pain and anxiety. And there wasn't really anything beneficial to me interacting with them at all. And I think that's totally normal, but just keep in mind, you only want to interact with people who, you know, make your life better. What's the point of interacting with people who are going to bring you down and make you feel bad? If people come into your life and give you different viewpoints and new things to think about that you haven't thought about before, that's great, that's wonderful, but you don't want them doing it in an antagonistic, hurtful, destructive way. And I think that's the key thing with toxic family members. It takes a lot of work to learn to love yourself and build yourself up. And if you have to interact with people who are toxic and only want to, you know, knock you down a few notches to make themselves feel better all the time, that isn't going to be conducive to anyone. That isn't going to help anyone. It might make them feel better in the moment, but ultimately, you know, do you want to be someone's punching bag, or do you want to be your own person and, you know, seek your own happiness and your own truth? And I think that's the important distinction here. So yeah, basically that's all the advice I have. I'm sorry if it's not, my thoughts were kind of disjointed there or whatever. Like I said, this is just me being really raw, really real with you guys, because I have dealt with toxic family for years, and every holiday season I start thinking about it, and I realized, you know, maybe my experiences can help other people out there. Basically, just remember, you know, this isn't forever. People who go out of their way to bully you and hurt you are only doing that because they're hurting themselves and they don't know how to deal with it. They're just taking it out on you, so try not to take it personally. Don't associate with someone who is going to hurt you or make you feel bad any more than you have to. Just be your authentic self. Like, you don't have to, you know, indulge people who are only there to, you know, attract attention to themselves and be hurtful to others. Don't give up your mental real estate without a fight. And just take refuge in people who do care about you and make you feel good, and who you have rich, interesting, wonderful interactions with. So yeah, that's my advice. Hopefully it will help you this holiday season if you have to deal with toxic people or family members. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any particular advice with dealing with toxic family members in your life. And once again, I'm going to have links down below for in case you are in a severe or abusive situation and you need some help or guidance or anything. Absolutely reach out and seek it. There is no shame in asking for help. I promise you, things will get better eventually, even if it doesn't seem like it right now. And let me know if you guys would like me to make more videos like this, talking about kind of personal, you know, family relationship stuff. I didn't really consider ever making a video like this, but it's pretty interesting to me, and I'd like to know what you guys think. And as always, I love you so much, guys. Thank you so much for watching this and spending some time with me. I really appreciate all the interaction I've been getting with you guys lately. You are so beautiful and just the most lovely people. And I hope you all have the best holiday season, whatever holidays you celebrate. I hope you just have the best time, eat the yummiest food, just have the greatest of holiday seasons. And don't forget that you are beautiful just the way you are, and to always be yourself. And I will see you guys in the next video.